Hello, sweet friend. My name is Maike, and in this video, I would like to draw some Halloweeny page borders with you. So these are just really simple doodles that frame our writing space. So they sit in the corners or they sit in the margins, and they're really simple to do and very fun, and just bring a little bit of spooky cuteness to our journal pages. So for this first one, I'm going to do the initial sketch with a pencil because I want to go over it with some inks and play around with that. But you could also grab a colored pencil or whatever you feel like working with today. And so what we are going to start out with is a witch's cauldron that's sitting here in the corner. And so I'm going to go far enough out so that I can have a pretty round, bulbous witch's cauldron. And I like to start with the lip at the top of the cauldron, and for that it's just really a slim rectangle, and I'm pressing pretty hard just so that you can see it on the video. And let me check the viewfinder. Yes, you can see, although, whoa, sorry, hit you there. We can maybe go in just a little bit further. How about that? That might be a little bit clearer. And then for the body of the cauldron, it's very ovally. I think that's kind of fun to do. So you're just really going out, and you know, you can have a lot of fun with that, and it doesn't even need to be symmetrical. I think a little bit of wobble adds to the appeal, in my opinion. And then surely the cauldron has some handles on the sides, so we're just gonna do these ellipses here, or half ellipses on the one side and also on the other. So that's gonna be fun. And then down here, and that's why I wanted to use a pencil, although I'm pressing so hard for the camera that it's a little harder to erase. But down here, I want to have a little skull, and I think a really simple yet fun way of drawing skulls is you're gonna go in this arched way, and then when you get to where the teeth are, you just do these almost like rounded scallops. Just do 3 of those like that. And then you just connect where the teeth end to the back there. So it's almost like a bean shape with the addition of the teeth. And then we're just gonna add 2 little dot eyes. And there's a cute little skull. And maybe there's also a potion bottle sitting right next to it. For that, we're just gonna do a, what is that? A trapezoid, like it's almost a upside down triangle without fully going to the point. And then you're just adding a slim bottle body, and then we're gonna be able to maybe put like a fun liquid in there, and then of course a little stopper, just a rectangle, and then we're gonna add 3 dots to indicate that this is maybe cork. And then here we would probably still see a foot of the cauldron. So you're just adding a little, yeah, what is that? Like a bean shape, a long U. And there's that. And it can be fun, and depending on how we color this, we can just add 2 lines going across down here. Just to break up this big shape. And if you make your cauldron a dark color, these would be nice to be added in a lighter color, if that makes sense. And so since there's something bubbling in this cauldron, I'm assuming, we can add some bubbles going up the page. Kind of fun. And if you want to, add more than just these bubbles, and to indicate that this is magical, we could also add these kinds of stars to it. And you could play around with how you want to draw your stars, but I like these. I'm varying the size of the stars and the bubbles just for visual interest, and it almost looks like things are at different depths, so that's kind of fun. So this is traveling up the page, and then here in the top corner I thought it would be fun to have a little cobweb in a spider's web, and for that you're just gonna go from the corner of your page outward, depending on how far you want to go into the page, or how far you want your cobweb to reach into the page. And I think I'm gonna do one more, like so. And now you're connecting the lines and the edges of the paper with these scallops. I guess that's a good way of thinking about it, like so. That's our outer shape, and now you're just filling in some of this inner shape also with these kinds of scallops. And maybe we'll do one more, like so. Really, really fun. And then from this end here, we're gonna have a spider dangling. So we're gonna have the thread connecting to the spider, and then for the spider you're just doing a circle or an oval shape, really simple. And then of course we're gonna have some legs, so 3 little arcs on one side and 3 little arcs on the other. And then here we have our first little page border. I think it's so cute, and I mean this is a passport size, so of course this is quite small, but you get the gist. I mean, there would still be some space to write, or you could even combine these two and then you have really a lot of space to write left. But that obviously depends on also on your what your journal size is. But now for the coloring, I picked out 3 ink colors. I have a really bright pink that is this Magnolia Mirage. As you can see, really, really well, and maybe it's the autofocus. Maybe I'll bring that closer. So here we have Magnolia Mirage by Birmingham Pen Co, and it's this really bright pink. I thought that might be fun. And then I picked out a gray. This is Pilot Uroshizuku Kirisame, and if I remember correctly, this gray has a little bit of a pink undertone to it, so that'll look good with the Magnolia Mirage. And then I also want to bring in, this is Sailor Kokoroguma, which is a really fun color, and it's going to complement them really well, but this is going to be the darkest color. And so, since you've seen how I drew all these, I'm going to lighten the lines slightly, just so that we can see more of the ink. And of course it's a little tricky because of the pressure that I put in, but it's fine. It's for demonstration purposes, I guess. Yeah, just lighten that. Oh, I hate when that happens on the pencil lines, when the eraser crumples the paper. Okay, maybe this is somewhat okay. So I'm thinking of starting with the darkest colors maybe. So I'm gonna start with the Sailor Kokoroguma, and I'm gonna do the spider maybe in this darker color. And this is from the Sailor Yurimeko line, and these inks can look very different depending on what papers you put these on. So this one on Midori paper, it goes down a dark indigo, but then it dries to almost a metallic dark red, and I think that's gonna look really, really fun. And I also think the cauldron might be fun in this color. And if I had thought of it, I would have taken out the sample, and then we could color it in with one of the bigger dip pens or with the brush, but oh well. And then whenever I do filled in shapes like this, and if I want to show that up here is where the lip starts, I'm just gonna leave that slight bit of paper white there to just separate those shapes. And maybe we'll do the same with these shapes down here, just leaving a little bit of a white rim. And if I change my color, if I change my mind about that, I can always fill them back in later. And so doing the handles as well. And if you were feeling brave, of course you could do all of this without going in with your pencil line first and just dive right in, but I didn't feel that that brave today. But yeah, I've been definitely feeling like wanting to draw and finding ways to incorporate drawings into my journaling more that isn't necessarily always drawing what I did that day or drawing what's around me. So I think drawing borders like this is really fun, and it helps to explore seasonal designs. Oh, and I didn't leave my little white, I wanted to add those white lines. Maybe I can go over this with a gel pen. Oh well. And this is really soothing for me to do, but I don't know if this is a little tedious to watch, perhaps. But maybe this gives us a time to check in with each other. How are you doing? How's your journaling going? How is your October? Are you already having a lot of spooky experiences? Are you watching some good spooky movies? Do you feel like it's fall where you live already? Here it's starting to cool down, which is really fun. Okay, so there's our cauldron. Nice and easy. And then I thought for the potion bottles and some of these bubbles, I was gonna use this really, really bright pink from the Magnolia Mirage. I'm hoping this is gonna show up. I think so. I mean, the pencil line is definitely showing through, but there's nothing I can do about that right now. Like so. Yeah. And then let's do some of the bubbles, and maybe I'll just go ahead with and do those with my little brush. This is both from the Sailor Hakuro dip line. Like so. And then I figured for the spider web and for the skull, I'd use the gray, because that seemed fitting. Oh my goodness, I did it again, I swear. And maybe I need to wash this off first, because otherwise I'm gonna have that really bright Magnolia Mirage in my sample of the Kirisami. I love also using my samples like this, especially if you have colors that maybe don't work so well in fountain pens, or that you find too light or whatever, or too dry to write long pages with. But little designs like this can be a fun way to use up ink like that. And I mean, oh, that wasn't dry yet. Look at that. Oh well. That's what you get from filming that, right? Those things happen. And then, yeah, I think I'm gonna do those stars too, but I'm just not gonna fill them in because I don't. I think it's a nice contrast to have the bubbles filled in, but then the stars just be line art. Like so. Yeah, and something that is obviously, if you, for example, compare painting with inks versus painting with watercolors, of course, the nice thing about watercolors is that you can mix whatever color you need, more or less, and with inks, you're a little bit beholden to the colors that you happen to have. So there's that. But of course, if you have samples, with doodles like this, a sample will go and last a long time. So there's definitely a lot of room to play without having to buy an extensive amount of bottled inks. And yeah, there it is. Super simple, but I think this is really, really cute. And I think you can see that what I mean, that this sailor Kokoroguma changes into this deep, almost metallic red, and that's unfortunate that that bled into the potion bottle. But yeah, so much fun, and you could even potentially have almost like steam coming out of the potion, not the potion bottle, but out of the cauldron words, if you wanted to connect that more. But yeah, I think it's really, really cute. All right, I have one more to share with you with some pumpkins. Okay, and the second little doodle idea I have for you to create journal borders is some pumpkins and some mice. Really, really cute. And pumpkins are so fun and so forgiving to draw because they have so many wobbles in them and texture that you really can't go wrong. So as long as you stay within more or less an oval, circle kind of shape, but you can even square them off a little bit, you're fine. Like the wobblier the better, the more character they have, I find. And then you can go inward and create this little V shape here in the top, because that's where the stem sits. And so we can add this little stem, which is just sort of like a cylinder like that. And personally, I like to keep the eyes of my pumpkins simple. So I'll just do 2 little dot eyes, and just like that. And you can play around with having them higher or lower on the body. That changes a little bit what character the pumpkin has. And then we're going to add a mouth. And so you just really, again, start anywhere, and then the wobblier the better, going around. And I like to give them little teeth. I think that's really, really funny. So there's that. That's our first character, and we are going to add some lines later on. And then this pumpkin friend here has a mousey come visit him. And so for the mouse, we're going to do the snout first, which is this rounded V-shaped triangle thing. And then it's going to have these round ears, of course, sitting up top. And then I would suggest just keeping the body really, really simple. And what you can do is to just imagine a baby's rattle toy. So you're just going down like this and giving it this really simple, yeah, what is that shape? Almost like a handle, a thick handle. And then we're just gonna add a little tail and then some dot eyes and indicate where the nose is there at the front. That's really it. It's so cute. And maybe I should zoom you in slightly. Maybe that would be helpful. And then what you can do is just add some or indicate some leaves on the ground. That's kind of nice, just to flash it out a little bit and indicate that they're sitting on the ground like that. Yeah, I think that's super cute. So that's sitting in one corner. And then I like to go diagonally up and have something in the top corner as well. And so we're gonna do 2 more pumpkins. And this time, this first pumpkin, think more of a pear shape, just to vary it up. I think that's kind of fun. So see, like that, a little bit more pear shaped. And then this one, of course, also has a stem. And again, just playing around with where the eyes sit. Maybe this one has the eyes sitting up further up top. Really, really fun. And this one, of course, also has a cute little mouth and maybe a tooth right there and a tooth right here. Yeah, these always make me smile so much. I think that's very cute. And then he has maybe this more rectangular friend sitting in the back. And then here too, just adding. And don't be afraid to have the eyes sort of at a diagonal to indicate that maybe this pumpkin is looking around, because we're going to add another mouse to this. So, and maybe this one just has like a closed mouth, or maybe just a very slim one. Just again, varying it. And with this one, maybe we can have the mouse sitting on top of this pumpkin on the side there. So we're gonna have the snout kind of overlap, again with this triangular shape. And then again, we have our circular ears, and of course 2 eyes and a nose. And then for this one, since it's sort of on the side, we're just going to do, yeah, another half circle, I guess. Like that. If I had tilted the pumpkin a little bit more, it would feel more like the mouse is sitting on top, but I think it's fine. I think a mouse could easily sort of cling on to a pumpkin like that, and I guess that's really small. See that? And again, just think of like a baby rattle in terms of the body. Just keep it really, really simple. And again, maybe we're just gonna indicate some leaves on the ground, just really simple. Like so. And that is the sketch for it. I think that is so fun. And what do we want to do in terms of the color? Do we do some watercolor? Yeah, maybe we'll do some watercolor for this one. I think that's fun. And I might even just, because I personally have to push so hard with the graphite so that it shows up on camera, I might not even go over the lines. We'll see how much of that shows. So I am gonna go ahead and maybe also add these texture lines, these almost like pie cuttings to indicate the roundness of the pumpkin. So you're going with the lines where you think the roundness of the pumpkin would go. And then don't or feel free to have them sort of like taper off when you get to the face, so that is still sort of visible. And then yeah, I think I might just have the pencil lines be my actual lines, and then maybe we can darken the inside of the mouths for that to stand out. They're so quirky. Like so. Yeah, that is cute. And see, that's so nice then to like still write here. This would also be fun to send out to pen pals as a little letter design, you know, or make little post-it notes. And then maybe the plant needs to move a little bit, depending on... Yeah, I've been really enjoying this smaller passport format. It's just so cute. Okay. And then this water is already a little dirty, so we'll see. All right, and let's go ahead and, I mean, I do have an orange, and you should feel free to just go ahead and use any orange that you already have, but I think I'm going to give it a little bit more yellow undertones, and then maybe I'll quote-unquote dirty it up a little bit and use this light ochre. This is such a good color to bring a little bit of earthiness to any color. All right, I'll paint those in. My battery is flashing at me, so I'll be right back. All right, I just painted in that orange color that we mixed, and I'd had time to dry while I charged my camera battery a little bit, so that's what that looks like. And if you don't mix in your watercolors fully when combining different colors, like leaving them a little bit, this is more orange, this is leaning a little bit more yellow, this is almost having like a green undertone, that also brings variety to your little shapes. I hope that made sense. Okay, I think for the little mice, I'm just gonna use this warm gray that I happen to already have on my palette. And if I'm not mistaken, this is burnt umber with a little bit of this lavender color to gray it out. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, of course, you could also use a pre-made grade, but I got lucky there. And maybe I'll zoom you back in a little bit. Yeah, I think that works. And of course, we're just gonna leave out the little nose. We can add a little bit of pink to that. I think that would be fun. And this brush is a number 8 brush. This is almost a little big for how small these shapes are. That might be also a good use case for some markers. I'm definitely gonna do the little mousy noses in marker because I don't think it's gonna be quite the thing with this brush. Yeah. Like so. I think that's cute. And then we still need a color for the stems and for the leaves. And for the stems, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and use some of that burnt umber, since that's gonna go well with the gray of the mousies, since it's already part of it, and the natural or the light umber in the mix of the orange, those colors will go well together. Like if the mixes that you make have some colors in common, that tends to lead to very nicely unified color palettes. Cute. And then for the leaves, I think we can use some of our mixtures that we created for the, oops, you can't see, for the pumpkins. And I'm just gonna maybe add a little bit more yellow. And then I'm gonna try and keep my brush pretty dry so that they're a little bit lighter on the ground. And you can be generous and maybe like even go outside the lines to just indicate that ground plane, and we could go over where the leaves are with some more color in a little bit, like so. I think that's nice. Do that down here too. Just indicate that ground plane. Some orange, some of those leaves. And then we'll add some, maybe a yellow in a little bit. And then for the little noses, I'm not sure if this is too bright. It's almost more orangey pink, huh? This might be more like it. Yes, this is the Tombow. Ooh, I don't know. But a Tombow pink. For the nose. Super cute. And speaking of Tombows, maybe we can add those onto some of those leaves and bring them out a little bit. Yeah, this one. It's like a golden yellow. Even add some of that pink. Yeah, that's fun. Cute. Yeah, so it's a little bit more of a soft look, partially because the lines are just graphite and not outlined with ink. But I think they look so cute in the corners, and then now you can just add your writing, your journal writing, or a note to a friend, letter. I think that's so cute. So we created this, and we created, whoops, this one. Yeah, this is looking maybe a little bit more graphic compared to this one. But yeah, super fun. Aw, excited to work with these pages. Alright, that was it from me today. I hope you really enjoyed creating these journal borders, these little spooky, cutesy drawings. And if you are creating some of your own borders and you feel like sharing, I'm always happy to see what you are creating. So send me a DM on Instagram or send me an email. I have everything in the description box. And if you feel like drawing a little bit more and are interested in seeing some of my other drawing tutorials for journalers, I'll have some options here for you to check out. And otherwise, thank you so much for sharing this time with me. And until next time, happy journaling!